Oh, hello there. Yes, it's supposed to be a bit damp today. Hope not. Anyway, today I thought we'd talk about Andrew Bridgen, him, yes, and his failed bill. I ran out of time yesterday, so we'll have a look at it today. Let's do that. Yes, well, just briefly before we get into the bill, yesterday there was a bit of a kerfuffle because Andrew Bridgen decided to retweet the usual inflammatory statement from Mr. Loza Fox. I'd love to show you the tweet, but Mr. Loza Fox, the free speech absolutist, has blocked me. I think the reason why he was blocking me is because I kept on reposting on his timeline a photograph of him in a bikini, which when he posted it apparently was hilarious, but when I do it, it isn't. I've always got to love these free speech absolutists when they block you. Leave you to ponder that particular one. Anyway, yes, so he basically was in agreement that anyone that voted against his bill, who presumably don't include such wonderful conservatives as Jonathan Gullis and such wonderful well-meaning parliamentarians as the DUP, are groomers and support the mutilation of children. It's always good when you can use emotive language about these things. Anyway, moving on to his actual bill, and just to let you know, when these kind of backbench motions come in, they don't have to be fully fledged laws. They can just be a sort of statement for intent of travel. However, I'm going to sort of unpick what he was suggesting and tell you exactly why it's a fundamentally bad idea for all parties concerned, apart from Andrew Bridgen, obviously. So, leave be given to bring in a bill to prohibit the promotion of social transition practices in schools. Right, this is once again directly back to section 28 territory, in that I don't think anybody could possibly say exactly what the promotion of something is. Teachers these days are accused of promoting all sorts of things in schools, and what people usually mean by that is they mention it. So I presume, therefore, that it would prohibit any mention of social transition practices in schools, or, therefore, any mention of social transition, or, by definition, any mention of trans things. Now, that might be great for Andrew Bridgen, but I'm not so sure if it's going to be very good in terms of the mental health of a number of pupils. Moving on, to require schools to inform parents if their child has indicated an intention to pursue or has commenced social transition. Yes, so we have to let parents know, no matter how damaging that might be to a child. You instantly throw an awful lot of safeguarding stuff completely out the window there. Interestingly, in the kerfuffle yesterday, in terms of Andrew Bridgen sort of saying, well, I just want the law as it stands. Well, the law as it stands means that we have to safeguard children, mister, and this would throw a spanner in that. The child, if their child has indicated an intention to pursue or commence social transition, so in other words, mentioned it. So if a child comes up to a teacher under Standing Order number 23, as we have here, does the teacher have to run away screaming from that, lest they, with their fingers in their ears, lest they hear something that they shouldn't? So we've gone from promotion, and indeed just mentioning, to the child must be silenced as well. And we move on to provide for a right for parents to access information about lessons in schools. Right, okay, fine. If you want schools to spend a vast amount of time answering freedom of information requests from right-wing Christian parents, this is a really good way to go. And when those right-wing Christian parents find something they don't like, they will instantly appear on GB News or being interviewed by Julia Hartley-Brewer about how dreadful it is for their child to hear about insert things that evangelical Christians don't like here. Yep. Now, again, you might say, well, it's only right that parents know what their children are being taught. Well, the vast majority of schools in the UK have something called the National Curriculum. It's monitored pretty darned aggressively by Ofsted. You know, if you don't like what's going on in a particular school, you could always homeschool, rather than demanding that your particular, usually biblical viewpoint gets imposed on everyone else. Anyway, moving on. To make provision about the teaching of the concept of gender identity in schools and for connected purposes. Right, okay, so you can't teach anything about the concept of gender identity, and this is where a lot of people don't really understand indeed what the word teach means. I can teach somebody about Nazi Germany. That doesn't mean I'm teaching them to be a Nazi. Right, those are two very, very different things. But as ever, Mr. Standing Order number 23, like so many other Conservative MPs and social commentators, actually cannot get his head round that. Okay, it's entirely possible for me to speak to a class of children about homosexuality without in any way, shape or form suggesting that any of them should become homosexual. Yeah. That's the way that works. And I love this last bit, and for connected purposes. I don't even know what that means. That is the most fluid, perhaps even gender fluid thing that I can think of. To provide a right for parents to access information about lessons in schools, to make provision about teaching of the concept of gender identity in schools, and for connected purposes. Yeah, me neither. The longer I stare at that, the more meaningless it becomes. And oddly, this was basically laughed out 2 days ago. But of course, Andrew and the Reclaim Party and poor old Loza Fox, they're the victims. Yeah, they're the victims. Unworkable laws just to make the bigots happy. Unworkable laws. Why can't we bring in unworkable laws? They demand. Anyway, this is the first round in a number that are likely to come. So, yeah, next round will be Miriam Gates, I imagine. That's likely to have the backing of a large number of Conservative MPs. So that's going to be, no doubt, in many ways, whatever she arrives at will have a lot more words in it, but it'll basically be exactly the same thing and equally unworkable. Yes. Yes, so there you have it. Basically unworkable. Make children miserable, lead to a whole host of safeguarding issues, unnecessary admin time, loads and loads and loads of screaming evangelical Christians on GB News, and everybody wins. Probably not. Anyway, have a lovely day.